Hey everybody, welcome to Cardboard Commander. My name is Jerry, and today we are going to set up Blood of the Lions, the Somme, the 4th British Army Sector, July 1916, a game by Worthington that I purchased on a Kickstarter. And so I thought I would set this solitaire game up and we would play it together. So we're going to jump right in. So here's the rule book. It is a whopping 4 pages, folks. So that's all the rule book is 4 pages. So we are going to jump right in and I'm going to just kind of go over some of the highlights with you. I'll be learning as like you are. So bear that in mind. So Blood of Lions is a World War I solitaire war game depicting the actions of the British Fourth Army during July at the Battle of the Somme. The game unit scale is corps and divisions and uses a combination of dice cards, generated command, and leadership points, as well as some of your push your luck mechanics in order to advance on the objectives and obtain victory points. Players are allocated command points to undertake specific sets of actions each turn. The game's objective is to gain as many victory points as possible while reaching objectives defended by a German bot, activated by players' actions, event cards, and automatic defense values. So the map is down here, and I'll kind of show you some of the stuff that we start off with. So these areas here, those are the British trench and assembly areas, and those are where the player places each corps division during setup when reinforcements are received. So that's where those are. These areas, this is no man's land. The first area players must move to before any objective areas. There are no British attack attempts on this area. The player rolls 1d6 for German machine gun fire. The die results in either casualties or retreats, so that's this area here. Then the green area is objective areas. So trigger event cards provide victory points and are occupied by enemy forces represented by German defense factors, which you'll see GDF right there. Within each core axis of advanced objectives are the first, second, and third trench lines. So you'll see that there. Playing pieces. Units are represented by cubes. That's these cubes right over here. Colored cubes correspond to the effectiveness of different units and are color-coded to match specific die. Cards are used. That's those right there. Are used and drawn randomly during attacks on objectives to generate and influence gameplay. Small colored cubes represent British Army divisions and are used to move and gain ground on the map. The cubes are color coded to represent different levels of effectiveness and attack strengths. Each cube uses a specific dice type / color which matches the cube's color. So, green units have green dice. Blue units have, you guessed it, blue dice. And then orange units have orange dice, and yellow units have yellow dice. And then we have some black die as well. So that's pretty easy to come up with. So we're going to look at this. So green is first line division, and they use a D12. The second line divisions are the orange, and they use a D10. The third line divisions are blue, and they use a D8. And then I guess are yellow. Yeah, it looks like yellow. Their color on the rule book is kind of strange here. But those are casualty and they use a D6. So in order of effectiveness, green cubes represent first line troops, orange cubes represent second line troops, blue cubes represent third line troops, and yellow cubes represent a third line division that has suffered casualties. Okay? Yeah, that has color cube and its level of effectiveness indicates the matching color die for use in combat and reflects a decreasing effectiveness as divisions take losses. These are referred to as such to facilitate casualty allocations and dice rolling since they are color coded. Event cards are used to generate random events and German actions before an attack on an objective. The player draws one card before any attack action on an objective area. Cards are resolved and discarded at the end of the action and or otherwise stated on the card. one attack, one card draw. Once all cards have been used, they are reshuffled and placed face down to be used until the end of the game on turn 12. Dice are color coded, and we've already come up with that. And that's all listed right there, so you can see how the first line divisions are green, second line divisions orange, third line division blue, and then casualty for third line is yellow. So next, we have the sequence of play. So you're going to check and apply casualties to units in no man's zone. So that's where you roll the d6, right? You're going to move transfers, and that's going to come from this box here, and they're going to go into here. You're going to roll a d6 or a d8 for command points, and they'll be logged right down here. Then you're going to conduct actions. You're going to move any units, conduct attacks, draw an event card before each attack, request artillery, cancel or retreat result. Then you're going to use leadership actions in the turn and move the turn marker one sequence. And that is all listed right here. So we the player set up the game, set up play by placing the British Army divisions according to their respective core areas, which are color coded on the map. So we've done that. Player then places the red cube on the number one of the track. Oh, okay. So I put the wrong cube down. So on the first turn, and shuffle all the event cards, placing them face down on the map. So they've already been shuffled, and they're right there. The game begins by placing all the colored markers representing divisions in their respective British trench assembly areas on the map. Players then roll a d8 to attain command points. So it says, the game begins by placing all colored divisions in their respective trench places. So we look back here, and so that I would take it that would mean all the first line divisions, right? Let's take these dice out of here. So they're not in the way. So I would take it that this, not necessarily. So we're going to have to look at that. Maybe we put, I don't think they would all go in there. We'll look at that. So it says the player sets up play area by placing the British Army's divisions according to their respective core areas. So that's here. The game begins by placing all colored markers representing divisions in their respective British trench areas. So that would be all of these would go over here. Just as an example. The player would then roll a d8 to get command points. So we would roll the d8, and there we would get 8 command points. So that would probably be pretty good. And then lastly, place 3 black cubes in the 3 spaces on the leadership action track. Okay, so those go here. So maybe one there, and one there. Command points are used. Okay, so now we go to command points. Command points are used by the player to conduct actions. Command points are generated at the beginning of each turn by rolling a d6 or d8 for easy, difficult setting. So it told us to roll d8, so we did that. And using the number as a result of the available command points for one turn and placing the small black cube in the corresponding box, which we did. So command points are used to conduct one player action per point and may be used for movement, no limit, attacks, no limit, artillery barrage once per turn, or to cancel a unit's retreat once per turn. First turn only, re-roll one result. Okay. Then the leadership actions. The player can use up to 4 leadership actions during the game at any time without expending command points. Individual actions cannot be repeated. The actions are a cancel a retreat and apply 1 casualty point and apply 1 casualty to retreating unit, reroll any 1 die, reroll any 1 artillery, use 1 additional command point. Each time a leadership action is used, remove the black cube over it to mark it as exhausted. So I would think that we have to have 4 of these on here, so we could mark them as exhausted. I would probably put them down here just so I can be reminded of what they are. Movement and transfers. The player moves his units by expending command points. One command point may be used to either move any or all division cubes in a core from one area to another, which does not involve an attack. An attack is a separate action. Movement is only allowed from area to area and only within its core's axis of advance. So you can only go here. These guys can only go here. The 10th can only go here. The 3rd can only go here. The 15th here, and the 8th or the 13th here. Pretty common, pretty easy. Movement is only allowed from one area to area within the core's axis, denoted by denoted by the thin black line. So you'll see that there. There's only one exception to this rule. If the player wants to reassign one and only one per game division from one core to another, he may do so by expending one command point to remove the selected division and placing it in the division transfer box, which is right there. The division must remain there for 3 turns, at the end of which the player must expend one command point to place it in any British trench assembly area. Okay, so that's pretty self-evident. So what I would probably do is I would probably put that unit on the turn track so I know which turn they could come in. The British trench assembly areas, that's these areas here, uh, are on the map where the player places their core divisions. These areas are considered safe and no hostile actions can take place within them. They're also where the player places his units before the game begins and must correspond to each of the core's battles. Okay? No Man's Land, that's these. No Man's Land is a stretch of land between the British and German lines. Units' first movement from the British assembly area into No Man's Land, so we would go like this, where a d6 is rolled immediately for each division, determining casualties or retreats from the divisions. A result of 1 through 3 results in a casualty, and a result of 4 through 6 results in a retreat of one division. Player's choice. Units moving from No Man's Land into British trench areas do not roll for casualty retreats. Divisions that remain in No Man's Land at the end of any turn must roll for casualties before they can attack again. Divisions that remain in, okay, so if we stay here, they've got to roll again. They're going to have to move on. Objective areas are areas designated as target areas for the core. Each core has a track to which they may move towards an objective area. The core advance axis of advance. Cores may not move on any other objective track. Objective areas are divided into first, second, and third trench lines. Objectives within each trench line have a victory point value of 5, 8, or 10. Okay, so 5 victory points, 8, 10. Objective areas have a specific German defense factor and require drawing 1 event card per attack. That's the GDF. Vacated objective areas that do not have any British units on them but have been successfully attacked and occupied prior remain in British control for the rest of the game, provided that at least one division is active on the area track, which is this track here. Attacks are resolved by expending one command point, allowing a core division to attempt to move into an objective area. Each objective area has a GDF number corresponding to the cumulative number needed for an attack roll to capture a particular area. The player first draws and resolves an event card. The player then rolls the type and number of dice for the attacking divisions, applying any card generated or other DRM. If the result is equal or greater than the objective's GDF number, the attack is considered successful and the British units move without expending a command point to the attacked objective area, at which point they effectively control it. If the number is less than the objective GDF, the attack is considered a failure, and the British units do not advance into the objective area and remain on the last area occupied before the attack. The player may attack objective areas as many times as they want, as long as they have enough command points to do so. So I'm hoping that there's an example, but there's not. So I'm thinking that when you move in, right? So you're looking at, you get two of those, one blue and one orange. And you would just have to beat 25. So we got 10, 28. We beat 25. So we would win. But remember, you'd have a card. That's the sequence of play card, which we'll put right here. So tea time. Delay any division transfer request one turn. Delay any division transfer request one turn. If no transfers are in play, no effect. Okay. And then it says discard after use. So there would be no effect. So we would have won that there, right? So that would give us 5 victory points. So support. During attacks, neighboring corps/divisions provide abstract support to units attempting to take objectives, provided they control the neighboring objective. A white line is connecting the supporting unit's objective to the unit attacking. So here, there is no support, but when they get here, they can get support from these units, or vice versa. Each supporting area provides a +1 DRM to each attacker. There are no support lines to or from no man's land. Casualties are sustained when the British player suffers hits from machine gun fire. Remember, we'd have to roll here. During movement into no man's land. If 2 ones are rolled as a result of an attack action, D6 dice roll against. Wait. If 2 ones are rolled as a result of an attack action, D6 die roll against any objective. Casualties are applied in the following order. So green line division. So green first line division is replaced with an orange cube. Orange cubes are replaced with a blue cubes. Blue cubes are replaced with a yellow cube, and yellow cubes are. Retreats are applied if the British player suffers hits from machine gun fire during movement into no man land. The British may expend 1 command point once per division to cancel the retreat. The British may expend 1 command point to request an artillery barrage once per turn. The player rolls 1d6 before drawing an event card. If the result is either a 1-3, the player subtracts 2 GDF from the target objective. Reserves. On turns 6 and 8, the player rolls a d6 for reserves. On a result of 1 through 3, the player receives one third line division, blue cube, which may be placed in any of the British trench areas. The player accumulates victory points by successfully attacking and defeating Germans. Each objective area has a victory point allocation. At the end of turn 12, the player adds up the victory points for each objective and refers to the following chart. 20 or less, abysmal failure. 41 to 64 is a failure. 79 to 65 is a marginal success. 80 to 89 is a marginal victory. And 90 to 115 is total victory. The designer said that they wanted to keep this to within, they could play away and played and put away in less than 30 minutes. So that's so let's see if I understand this correctly. So let's try this. So we're going to try to do an example here and see if you guys agree with me on this. So we're going to shuffle the cards and we'll put the cards in here. We will assume that we kept the 8. Well, you know what? Let's just go down the thing. So the first sequence of play, check and apply casualties to units in no man's land. There is nobody in no man's land. 2, move transfers. There are no transfers, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to stick with an 8-sided dice. So we're going to roll. And we're going to roll again so you can see that. And so we get 4 command points. I like the 8 better. Now you're going to get to conduct actions. Move any units. So we're going to move all of those units for 1. We're just going to go forward. We're going to move all of them for 1. And then we'll move all of these for 1. And then we'll stop there. So that leaves us 1 command point left. Conduct attacks, and then we go from there. So just to refresh ourselves on attacks. Let's go make sure we're doing this right. Attacks are resolved by expending one command point, allowing. Oh, so we shouldn't probably do that. So we're going to go back so we have two command points, and we'll attack with these two. Attacks are resolved by expending one command point, allowing a core division to attempt. But first, we have to roll the casualties in no man's land, right? So we're going to roll 1d6, and we'll roll the first d6 here, and we roll a 3. So on a result of 1 through 3 results in a casualty and results in a 4 through a 6. So we received a casualty, and casualties are sustained when the British player suffers a hit from machine gun, right? Casualties are applied as the following. So green line goes to, so we're going to take a, so you don't want to get, if he goes to yellow and they get eliminated, then you lose victory points. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a second line and we're going to put them down to a third line. Okay. Now we're going to take this no man's land here before we throw the dice. It is a 6. And so a 6 in no man's land results in a retreat of one division, player's choice. Units. Okay, so we have to retreat one. So we're going to retreat this guy back to here. Okay. So now, oh no, they made it. This guy's going to go back to here. Okay. So now we go to conduct attacks. Well, so we move there. Do we have to spend another move to get into there? Movement. Oh, no limit. Okay. So then we're going to go ahead and go into here. And they're going to go into there. And then we have to have combat. So we go back to the attack. So the player first draws and resolves any event card from the. So we're going to draw for this attack first up here on the first line trench in Boa Court. So we're going to draw a card. That card is, and that card says, pick the lowest line level division that is not currently in no man's land and upgrade it to the next level. So we get to take this and we can upgrade him to the next level. So we're going to put him back as a second line troop. And the card's called Old Chaps. Discard after use. So we're going to put that there. Now we need more than 25 to win here. So we're going to roll 2 green, 1 orange, and 1 blue. We roll 10, 18, and 4 is 22, and 5 is 27. So just was successful. And so a successful, the player first draws, if the result is equal or greater than the objective's GDF, the player is considered successful, and the British units move without expending a command point to the attacker's objective area, at which point they effectively control it. Okay, so we effectively control this area here, and we don't have to use a command point. Okay, so now this area here, we draw another card. That card is British Confusion, which can't be good, right? Cancel attack action, expend 1 command point. So we expend a command point and we cancel the action. So now I'm going to use another action to try to do that again. Because that would be the, yeah, so I can do that. So we're going to draw another card for King and Country. Add 1 DRM to any 2 attack rolls. Discard after turn's end. So we keep this. So now here, we need to win. So if we lose the battle, we lose the command point, and it'll be the end of the turn. But we roll one green, one orange, one blue, and we need greater than 25. So we rolled 10. So that's a failure. So they do not move into that objective, so they stay in no man's land. That sucks. It says if the number is less than the objective's GDF, the attack is considered a failure, and the British units do not advance into the objective area and remain on the last area occupied before the attack. The player may attack objective areas as many times as they want, as long as they have enough command points. So we lose our command point there. So that effectively ends this turn. So we could have requested artillery, use leadership actions. So you only get 4 per game, so it's early, so I'm not going to do that. So we're going to move turn marker 1 space. Okay. And then we're going to go back through the sequence play. We'll do one more example and see if we've got that correctly. And I want to see if you guys think I'm doing it correctly. So check and apply casualties to units in no man's land. So we've got these guys here. So we roll 1d6. We roll a 5. So there's casualties taken. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's a 5, so it's a retreat. A casualty and a result of 4 in a retreat of 1 division. These guys are going to retreat back to here. All right, so they retreat back to there. So now move transfers. We don't have any transfers. Roll 1 dice, 1d8 to see how many command points we get. 4 more command points. It's not good. So we're going to move. So if they move into there, does everybody take more no man's land? What do you guys think? Because they took fire at the beginning, so they probably shouldn't have, but these guys should probably have to. So we're going to roll that a 2. So yes, there are casualties involved. So we're going to take this unit and make them a second line unit. No, we can't because they weren't being attacked. It was the other guys being attacked. So this has to go down to yellow. Okay. So they move there. So there's no, so we can continue to move. So they will move here. And again, now, so they're attempting to move. So I guess they're there. And then what they're going to do is they're going to draw a card. And that card is steadfast or stand fast. If attacking from no man's land, cancel 1 retreat result from 1 core area for the attacking core. So we're going to roll a green, an orange, a blue, and a yellow die. And we need greater than 25. So 12 and 8 is 20. So we actually rolled 30. So that's a success. So that goes there. Okay. Now they could go forward and press their luck. Yep, we're gonna see that. So the 10th division is gonna go here, because remember the movement is it says for the command points the one area, one area with all. Okay, so we can only go one area. Okay, so that was 1 command point. So with now we're at 3 command points. So we're going to try to do this for that leaves us 2 command points. So here we're going to draw a card. And that card says Der Gergengriff. I think that's as close as I can say. Germans counterattack in 1 random objective first trench line. Roll 1d6. Reroll a result of 6. Assign 1 casualty to the lowest line division on target area. So they counterattack here. So we re-roll on a 6. So we don't want a 1 or a 2. And they get a 3. So we're good there. Discard after use. Now we're going to roll a green, a blue, an orange, and a yellow die. And we need greater than 25. We've got 10, 15, 18, 21. So they fail. So again, with a failure, I'm going to attack. They remain in the area that they came from. So they are, oh no, so they're there. They come back to here. Okay. So now we've got, so we're going to go ahead and use one more command point, and we're going to move them into no man's land, and then they're going to roll. And a 1 again results in casualties. So we are going to have to add, I think I'm going to add a yellow cube here. Will be one area with any or all units. So we've moved there. So now we could try to go into there. So we're going to use the last one, and we're going to try to go into there. So then they're going to roll. First, they're going to take a card, and that card is Let's Go Lads. So we get +1 DRM on an attack roll. Okay, so that's good. So we get a orange, a blue, and a yellow die, and then we get to add 1. So 8, 7 is 15, 21, 22. So it's a failure. So they go back to the box in which they came. And that is the end of the turn. So we go to turn 3. So I think I'm doing that right, folks. I'm going to reread the rules just to make sure, but I think I'm doing it right. What do you guys think? Let me know. Tell me if you want to see more of a replay of this, but otherwise, I think I will uh, start over on the next thing and we will have a replay. So tell me what you all think, everybody. Until next time, be safe, be kind. Happy wargaming, everybody.